So, lads, we all know with Sophie Cunningham that the Indiana Fever, it looks like they may not be keeping her. We all know that. Based on what she's saying, it sounds like the Indiana Fever may not be keeping her. And a lot of people are like, oh, she's just trying to get it for leverage. I would not be that surprised if the Indiana Fever have just told her no. Why? Because I don't know. I really don't know with this organization. I am. Look, my thoughts on the organization of the Fever are not a secret. They're not a secret. Like, I legitimately think that the Indiana Fever are a good team. I don't think they're a good organization. Like, I'm hearing rumors that UCLA had their first preseason game, and like a bunch of teams were there scouting because UCLA have 3 prospects that are projected to be in the first round and 2 prospects that are projected to be there or thereabouts there at number 10. Like 2 of Gianna Neepkins and they have 3, Ledger Walker. They've got 3 prospects that a lot of people are talking about going to the Indiana Fever, and Gianna Neepkins, Charlie's Ledger Walker, and what's her name? Jeez, I'm blanking. Kiki Rice. They've got 3. They've got 3 that are supposed to be like that. I've all seen mocked at different times to Indiana. Apparently, not there to scout. Not there to scout. Did Amber Cox go overseas to scout last year? No. Did the Fever have anyone scouting overseas last year? No. Why? Because I'm pretty sure they're very confident that they can recruit by asking their coaches who do you have a good relationship with and drafting them and pulling them out of free agency. That's what they did last year. It's as simple as that. That's what they did last year. But I do have to say, it is a tough thing for players because the Sophie Cunningham situation will answer our questions of what we have, of what we have with the Fever. If the Indiana Fever, if they re-sign Natasha Howard, and I mean this, if they re-sign Natasha Howard as a starter, I'm giving up hope on this Fever roster. I'm giving up hope on the Fever organization. Natasha Howard can play, but you can't, she gets in the way. Like, Natasha Howard and Caitlin Clark do not play well with each other. And that is fine. She picks and chooses when she feels like playing. Like, she does. She picks and chooses. Like, we saw her in the Commissioner's Cup, but we also saw her stink up most of the playoffs. She got outplayed in a lot of the series by Nalissa Smith. Like, that's not great. That's genuinely not a great thing at all to see. But she got outplayed by Nalissa. And then you've got a Sophie Cunningham who sounds like she wants to go, whereas it looks like they're probably going to give Natasha Howard a max contract. When you've got a player who led the league in true shooting percentage and plays defense and is unselfish and swings the ball and doesn't care if she gives you 15 or 6. Like, it is it's a really weird thing to look at this whole time, and I'm like, the Indiana Fever, it seems like they're just backwards as an organization. And whatever you think about Sophie Cunningham off the floor, at the end of the day, I don't necessarily care. I don't necessarily care, and I don't think it makes any difference to a team of basketball. Like, as long as someone's not doing anything illegal. As long as someone's not doing anything illegal, I really don't think it's anyone's business to want a player off their team if they're a quote-unquote clout chaser or whatever the hell their political views are. I don't care. I don't care. If the Fever end up signing quote-unquote only clout chasers because of Caitlin Clark, and it turns out that those clout chasers end up being the best players, some of the best players in the league, I don't care. And obviously, look, if Kayla McBride's coming in, but like, how many players in the league? And everybody's like, oh, we can find another Sophie. We literally can't. We literally can't. Are they going to say, you know what, we're bringing Christy Wallace back? Like, you actually cannot find another Sophie Cunningham. She led the league in true shooting percentage. Like, she led the league in true shooting percentage. You can literally not find someone who does exactly what Sophie Cunningham does. Because most of the players, again, you've got Leo Phoebish, who you're not going to get Leo Phoebish. You're not going to get her. You're not going to get... I'm trying to think of like players. Like, is Bridget Carlton coming to Indiana? And also, is Bridget Carlton better than Sophie? Like, that's my only thought process. Because you have to, if you're not going like for like with archetypes, like you need a Sophie Cunningham archetype. Because if you're saying, actually, no, we're fine, we don't need a Sophie Cunningham archetype because we've got Lexi Hull. Lexi Hull can't shoot for shit. Like, I'm okay with Lexi Hull as a hustle player. I think Lexi Hull is an exceptional hustle player. But like, that is what Lexi Hull is. She is a hustle player. And a damn good one. She is a defensive playmaker. She will draw charges. She'll do a lot of things. She is genuinely a player that the Indiana Fever need to keep. But for me, like, I'd rather have the modern basketball, passing, do it all, 1 through 4 in Sophie Cunningham than anyone on the team outside of the big three. She's their 4th best player. And this is how good Sophie Cunningham is. In a lot of games, Sophie Cunningham was one of the top 2 or 3 best players in the team. It's like some days she'd be the 2nd best player to Aaliyah, some days she'd be the 2nd best player to Kelsey. And that's like why I loved Phoebish for the Liberty, is I'm like, it's very rare. Like, everyone says Phoebish is their 5th best player. But it's very rare on any given game that Phoebish is the 5th best player in that game. Because she will give you a 7 out of 10 performance, like, nearly every game. And outside of a bit of a rough start, Sophie Cunningham was giving you a 7, 8 out of 10 performance in every game. It was very rare, like the Phoenix Mercury game, that we saw like a 10 out of 10 performance from Sophie. I'll give her a 9.5 for the Commissioner's Cup final. And like, you could argue that she was the best player in the Commissioner's Cup final. If the Indiana Fever are prioritizing basketball from 1994, these traditional power forwards, anyone who says traditional, I mean this when I say this. The word traditional is everyone saying, oh yeah, like you need a traditional point guard. No. If you hear the word traditional, that just means would have been good 15 years ago. The game has moved past you. That is what the word, what traditional actually means. Traditional means the game has moved past you. If you are called a traditional anything, it means the game has moved on, but you're still pretty good at basketball, so you're able to keep your spot in the league. Or you're able to get your spot in the league because you're good enough at a role that's no longer needed, but you're still a good enough player to keep on. Because at the end of the day, it's just one of those things where you've now got players that are just not going to help you win. And I fully believe that that Natasha Howard is not going to help a team win the year 2026. She might help you in a game. She might help you in a game. Genuinely. You might win a couple of games with Natasha Howard that you wouldn't have won otherwise, and that's fine. Like she was a big reason they won the Commissioner's Cup final, but as was Sophie. But if you look at these games and you look closer at the games, you're like, who is a more impactful winning player? It's Sophie Cunningham. Who is going to cost more to keep? Natasha Howard. What are the Indiana Fever going to do? I'm scared they're going to take Natasha Howard over Sophie Cunningham. And that's one of those things where this is where we see where the front office is. If the Indiana Fever give Natasha Howard a max contract, because it's clear it's a money thing with Sophie Cunningham and let Sophie Cunningham walk, I will be forever pushing for Caitlin Clark to leave that organization. Because again, you're hearing stories like they want to build around Kelsey Mitchell. I'm like, if you build around Kelsey Mitchell, you need Caitlin Clark to be Eric Snow. Like, if you want to build around Kelsey Mitchell, you need an Eric Snow type point guard, which Caitlin Clark isn't and never will be Eric Snow. Like, you need to, if you're going to build around Kelsey Mitchell with her, not her A game, what she wants to do as this isolation player, or it is like ball dominant player, that's fine. Find your Eric Snow. Like, find that player, but it's not Caitlin Clark. Let her play point guard and surround her with, let her play point guard with Aaliyah at the 5 and surround her with defenders. Then maybe, if that's your goal, then you can probably, because the way Natasha Howard is, you can probably use a traditional point guard because of the way Kelsey Mitchell scores. Not traditional point guard, traditional power forward. Because you're playing ball from the 2000s. Like, if you want to build around Kelsey Mitchell, you can keep Natasha Howard. If you want to build around Caitlin Clark, you keep Sophie Cunningham. And that's like, it doesn't matter how much Sophie Cunningham costs. Like, unless, like, you're not going to replace Sophie Cunningham for less than a max. You're not. You're not going to upgrade Sophie Cunningham for less than a max contract. You're actually not. In what she does, the little things she does, the role she plays, her versatility. You cannot replace, I don't know necessarily if Sophie's worth a max, but you can't replace her for less than a max. And that is a fact. So I'm looking at this and I'm like, she is somebody that is there, is ready, is already with the team. And unless she's causing locker room issues, which I don't think is happening. Maybe she gets taken in the expansion draft. But I am scared that the Indiana Fever are prioritizing Kelsey Mitchell over Caitlin Clark. Because if you're prioritizing Caitlin Clark, you build a modern basketball team. Sophie Cunningham is a modern basketball glue guy. Natasha Howard is a relic from basketball's past. And I'm not saying Natasha Howard is a bad player, because she's not. But Natasha Howard is, a relic from a style of basketball that is not a thing anymore. Like, she is not somebody anymore that a team needs. Like, teams do not need more Natasha Howards. Especially a team when you've got Caitlin Clark as a point guard. Like, if you want to run Kelsey Mitchell, Natasha Howard, because I think Aaliyah can fit with literally anybody. I personally think Aaliyah Boston as a player can fit in any system with anybody. I don't think it matters. I think Aaliyah is that malleable. Like, if that's what you want to do, then it's okay. But stop wasting the time of your best player in Caitlin Clark. If that is what you want to do as an organization, stop wasting her time. But I just don't. I'm just scared they're going to do it. And I could be wrong. And this could all just be living in fear. But just with the way they're saying, and it's like, with the fact is that you can see on their social media, they're promoting Ari McDonald the whole time. And I'm like, first of all, I think that could just be because Ari McDonald's in Indiana because she's rehabbing. But I'm like, Ari McDonald is one of the worst fits at the 1 beside Caitlin Clark. We saw Caitlin Clark a small forward with Ari McDonald out there. We've seen them not work together. As good as Ari McDonald is, we've seen them not work together. And, like, I'm worried. That's all I'm going to say. I'm worried. I'll see you guys.